Yeah, certainly there's I mean, there's some elements of their offense that are the same, and some elements of our defense that are the same. But the contestants have a lot to say in that as well. We had a lot of good players. They had a lot of good players. The things that stand out is when you play them, you have to fight off the explosive passing plays and running plays. And after they hit one on the first drive of the game, I mean, that we made them drive the ball, and then very similar to what happened at Kansas State last week. We weren't on the field a lot. I think our offense had like a 9-minute drive in the third quarter of that game. So that's the best defense there is. So that was a long time ago. I'm not sure that that'll have a big impact on today's game, but certainly there's some things that you can look at and kind of have an imagination how it'll go. Well, one thing I think that any good coach would want to do is tailor your scheme to fit your personnel. And back then they had little speedy backs, and then they had a really big, powerful quarterback. So their backs ran mostly sideways stuff, and then their quarterback ran all the downhill stuff. And then they were pretty limited wide receiver. Now, as they've gone on through the years, now they've got a really fast, speedy quarterback, and they've got some good downhill running backs. Their offensive line has gotten more and more physical year on year that they've been there. And the big change from a year ago is now their wide receivers are much more talented, and they're much deeper at wide receiver, and they've got much more threat going down the field on both sides of the field. So, like any good coach, you tailor your offense to the personnel you have. Certainly, you can still see some things that have just, they're basic concepts, but they do a good job of putting their best players in position to make plays. Right. Well, it certainly puts a lot of pressure on your defense because even when they weren't throwing it last year, they were still running it on everybody. So it wasn't a secret that they were running the football, and they still had a great success doing it. So now that they can run it still when they want to and then throw it when they want to, that makes them obviously twice as dangerous as they were a year ago. However, it still starts with the same thing. You still have to try to limit their run game as much as you possibly can. And then in the throw game, like no different than any other opponent, you have to limit the explosive passing plays. If he needs to go, if he has to throw for 300 yards, he has to do it on 30 attempts. He can't throw for 300 yards on 15 attempts. You got to still make them earn everything they get.